The topic of today's video is this BST AXN action figure, this Casey Jones. I'm assuming this is supposed to be pronounced Best Action. Instead of saying BST AXN, you're supposed to say Best Action, right? I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm not really sure. Anyway, I bought this Casey Jones. He's my only Casey Jones, and he sucks. I mean, this action figure really sucks. The detail is okay, it's not so bad. So he does look like Casey Jones. He has the right hair, the right body type, the right outfit, but it's just not a good quality figure. For one thing, his foot keeps falling off. So this foot, his right foot, just keeps popping right off. Every time I try to do anything with this guy, this foot falls off. But that's the least of his problems. First, let me talk about the stuff he comes with. He comes with these accessories, these weapons here, and it's very difficult to get the bat in his hand. You have to kind of squeeze it in there and force it in there. Okay, there. And the bat is all bent, so it's malleable and soft, and it just doesn't look right. At least make this part hard. So maybe make this part a little bit harder so it looks like a bat and it doesn't look like it's melting. But I don't really use it, and I can't use it because it's so hard to get it in his hand. Let's try to put it in his other hand. So same thing, right? You can't slide it in because of this, right? And you can't really, I mean, look at his thumb, right? The hole is so small and you can't really get it in there. So you have to force it in. You have to push in really hard with your thumb to get it in there. And look at it. I mean, what a pathetic bat. This looks like, you ever watch, what is the name of that show? Gumby? Or it's like this clay figure. It's a show of clay people, clay animation. This bat looks like it's a clay animation bat. Anyway, he also comes with these, and he can't hold these either. So this is a little bit easier, this one, because it's thinner. So the brown one is thinner than this dark gray one. And you can kind of slide this in there like so. You could only really get it in at that angle. It's hard to move it to get it to face the way you want it to face because it's just poorly built. So they made this action figure and they give him to you with these accessories, but you can't really use the accessories. He has this thing, and this thing is also problematic. You can try to hang it over his shoulder. It's easier to use his right shoulder than his left shoulder because he has this thing over here. So when you try to use his left shoulder, this shoulder pad here creates a problem and you can't really get it in there. And you can try to see, you have to force everything. So even if I move, you can't really move his arm up. Here is his right arm, and you can articulate his arm. You can move it up like this and then try to get this thing over his head and his shoulder, right? And you could only do it from this side, from the right side. You can't do it from the left side because of this shoulder pad. Am I doing it wrong? Does anyone have this action figure? Is there, another way that you're doing it, that I'm supposed to be doing it? How is he supposed to mount this bag on his back or across his shoulder? Is it just supposed to be like this? I doubt that. I doubt that it's supposed to be like this. I believe that the way I'm doing it, is really the only way that it works. So let me just try his left shoulder one more time. And so this one so you might break this. You might break the strap, so you have to be careful, and you just gotta force it in there. Stretch it out. So this one is just much more difficult because of this, and you can't move his arm up straight the way you could with his right arm. And you could put these hockey sticks in them, and you could put the bat in there too. Let me just show you what else he comes with. So he comes with this bag, he comes with these accessories, but he also comes with two alternate hands, which are both fists. So you could just abandon the weapons altogether, which is something I don't like to do. I like to give my characters weapons and just give him the two fists. So you could remove this hand and just put this one on. And now he's got the fist. And the hands do come off easily, and you could, pop the alternate hand on quite easily. It's the foot that I'm having a problem with, especially this right foot. It's really weird. You see, it just came right off. There was no popping sound. There was no friction. It literally just slid off. And when you put it in, you don't hear the popping sound that you hear when you put the hands in, put the fists in. He also comes with a different head. I never use this one. I don't like his face. It's just, I don't like your face. But I just prefer this. Right? Yeah, I guess he looks like Casey Jones. I mean, there are different versions of him: cartoon version, comic version, movie version. You could say this looks like Casey Jones, but I like this hair more. I like this hair's a little wilder, and I like him with the mask a lot more because Casey Jones is just so cool when he has the mask on. And he's just some dude who could be homeless when he doesn't have the mask on, right? He kind of just looks like a hobo. No offense to, you know, all my hobo brothers and sisters out there. Anyway, moving on, let's talk about the articulation. My issue with him in terms of articulation isn't so much his knees or feet or hands. There is this problem up here. This shoulder pad is like an obstacle and it restricts the articulation, but that's not even the biggest problem. The biggest problem with his articulation is this. So his hip joint, where his leg meets his hips and crotch, you can't get him to lean forward. So he doesn't really lean forward. There's no way to get him to lean forward. It's just, it moves this way, okay? And it moves back a little bit and front a little bit, and that's about it. You could move it sideways, so you can't get him to really move. It's just very unnatural and very stiff. And look at that, it just popped right off. But I was playing with it. I was applying pressure, so I would expect it to pop off. But my other figures don't pop off like that when I apply pressure. So let's just put this back on. It's not a very well-made figure. What it does have going for it, as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, is the detail. You know, it looks cool. Yes, it does look like Casey Jones. The colors are cool. The paint on the figure is good. He's got the right type of sneakers. He's got the right type of mask. Now let's talk about the scale of this guy. So here's one of my G.I. Joes, and she is a small action figure. She's from, I forgot which line she's from. It's not, is it the Elite? I don't remember. There's just so many different lines and so many different versions of all these figures. She makes him look small, right? So when you put them side by side, look how short he is. Look where his shoulder is. And look how big she looks next to Casey Jones. And I know that they market it as, I believe, a 5-inch, right? But still, this is just way too small. I mean, you can't scale him with any of the other figures. And you're probably going to want to use him with Ninja Turtles, right? So let's take our Donatello here. I reviewed this guy in a different video. These are my 80s. So these are the 80s cartoon Playmates Ninja Turtles figures. Look how tiny this guy is. He looks like a child. Now keep in mind that the Ninja Turtles are teenagers. So they're not supposed to be full grown, or maybe mutants stop growing at a certain point when they're teenagers. But I can accept when the turtle is a little smaller than the human because it's a turtle and it's a teenager. I can't accept when Donatello is, like, what would you say, 200% the size, not height-wise, but just generally, like girth-wise. He looks like he can crush Casey Jones's face. Look at that, right? So you can't scale him with the Playmates action figures. What can you use this guy with? You could only really use him with the other Best Action brand, right? Where's that other guy I had here? Where's Grifter? So here's a McFarlane toy. And now these are big. So these are big action figures, these McFarlane ones. And look at Casey. Oh my God. I mean, talk about poor scaling. So this guy is really tiny. And these aren't 12-inch, right? These are marketed, I believe, as 7-inch. I believe, I'm not 100% sure. But this is the McFarlane, you know, the standard McFarlane line that you would find at Walmart or Target. And look at the difference. It's just so crazy. Take the sword from Grifter. I mean, look at that. It's like that Berserk with Guts, that Berserk show, that anime. It looks huge. I mean, it would be bigger if it was the Berserk sword, but still, it doesn't work. It's not right. You can't scale this guy with anything. So you can't even scale him with things which are traditionally small. What do I mean by that? Well, I mean, when you try to put characters on motorcycles or other vehicles like bikes. I just recently purchased these bikes here. I was going to use Casey Jones. I was going to put him on one of these bikes. And I guess I just forgot how small he was. So these two die-cast bicycles, if you look, with Grifter, they kind of come up to his waist, which is where you want your bike seat to be if you're going to get on a bicycle. They look a little bit small compared to him, right? But they're perfect for my Ninja Turtle because Donatello is a little smaller. So here, you could put Donatello on this bicycle with Casey Jones. So look at Casey Jones. It freaking goes up to his shoulders. Look how big this bike is compared to Casey Jones. So they're just really small. They're really small action figures, and they don't really scale well with anything else. If you know what I could use this with, some line other than the BST AXN line, there it is again, it fell off again. Let me know. Who can I pair this guy with? He doesn't really seem to go well with anything. I mean, you could mix and match different lines and different brands. Here's Grifter with my Donatello. And as I said, because they're teenagers and they're turtles, it works. It's okay that he's shorter than Grifter. Grifter's a tall character, so it still works. You could take Donatello's bow and hand it to Grifter, and that would work. You can take Grifter's sword and hand it to Donatello, and that would work. And it's not so bad. But with Casey Jones, I can't do much with him. I can't even pair him with the G.I. Joe because he just looks, it looks awkward. He looks too small. I can't do anything with this guy. I'm unsatisfied with this line. I'm unsatisfied with this brand. I mean, this is the only figure that I have from BST-AXN, so maybe they have other ones which are better, but this one is not good. He's my only Casey Jones, and now I feel like I need to buy another Casey Jones. I love Casey Jones as a character. He's a really cool character, and I need to have one. But this one just doesn't cut it. In this scene, they went for a pleasant bike ride on a pleasant Sunday afternoon, but Casey couldn't keep himself together. So Donatello's like, hey man, you're embarrassing me. Grifter's like, I'm just gonna put him out of his misery. And Akiko's like, don't worry, I'll take care of it. He must die with honor. The end.